yesterday, and I started having conversations. Well, actually, the truth is, when we wrote the book, The Power of Appreciative Inquiry, we had another chapter, and it was called Leading Positive Change. And our wonderful publisher, Stephen Parasanti, said, sorry, it's your next book. You can't put it in. So it got pulled out. But over time, and working with some remarkable leaders, we started noticing 4 things about the leaders who were saying yes to appreciative inquiry and about the leaders who were using appreciative inquiry in phenomenal ways. Think about Tom White. You've heard his name with the GTE, now Verizon story. At Hunter Douglas, Rick Pellet, and the team there. The United Religions Initiative, Bishop Swing, Teresa Bartram at the Cathedral Foundation. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And so we started to say there were kind of 4 things that we were noticing. One is that the leaders who are really successful using appreciative inquiry, they're drawn to it, are willing to engage with people. It's that middle place that David's talking about. The admirals in the Navy come to the table without their uniforms. And John Schotter has written a lot about withness, but this capacity and willingness to sit down and be with people co-creating the future was the first thing that we saw over and over again. And yes, sometimes we had to remind them of it. The second that we noticed over and over again is that these leaders really did believe in the positive. I mean, Dave Eric told the story of how his wife wanted to teach their daughter to drive. She said, it's going to be a great bonding experience for our daughter and I. And every evening after driving lessons, the kid came home and said, Mom is making me crazy. I'm never going to learn to drive. So Dave Eric, Vice President of British Airways at the time, said to his wife, let me take her out once or twice. And he noticed, yes, indeed, the daughter would kind of drive a little too close to the curb and she'd forget to put on her turning signal. But what he found himself saying is, now would be the time to put on your left turning signal. Why don't you move a little to the center of the road right now? So his ability to see in the affirmative was something that was absolutely essential to his success with appreciative inquiry and why he found it meaningful. So these leaders were willing to be with people, they believed in the positive, they also, we heard another story from David this morning, they were learners in the process. Rick Pellet at Hunter Douglas, he said, you know, I knew this was going to be good for the organization. I just didn't know how much I was going to learn in the process. And so they were willing to step into their own learning. And the 4th thing is they care about humanity. They care about people. They care about the well-being of humanity. We've had people like Carolyn Miller, the executive director of CDI, say, you know, I know that we're helping Head Start programs, but really my business is to develop people. And we're just doing this as our work in the course of developing people. So we had these kind of 4 ideas. And then we set off to do some writing, and we said, now, many of the leadership books that we all know and love quote famous leaders. Right? They go to the Jack Welches and the this and the that. What if we did focus groups with the people? Because we believe in the voice of the people. It's one of the things that matters to us. So we set out and we did about, we say in the book 10 focus groups. We did about 12, 14, but some of them, you know, not many people showed up, so we kind of clustered it. And we did focus groups with folks of all ages. Some young people in a leadership program in Colorado Springs, other older folks. And, I mean, it was so wonderful. And we started hearing over and over again what they wanted, what they respected as leadership. Because, of course, we asked appreciative questions. But in a wide variety of ways, they were asking for the positive. Well, we want people who recognize us. We want people who have a good view of the future. We want people that create a positive work environment. Over and over, in many different ways, they wanted what we've come to call positive power. And so we took a little bit of a risk. And in this world of positive organizational scholarship, and in this world of positive psychology, we've put forth a concept of positive power. And I want to read to you the definition of appreciative leadership and then quickly give you the 5 strategies and maybe some stories if I have time. Appreciative leadership, the relational capacity. So we don't talk a lot about leaders. It's hard work to write about leadership so that it is not the trait of a person. Because I am from a constructionist orientation before I even heard about organization development. My field is communication. I, with David and others, founded the Taos Institute. So to place leadership as a relational capacity, that was fun. It was fun to think about. To mobilize creative potential and to turn it into positive power. That's where we draw on Tojo and Carol Metzer's work on appreciative intelligence. To set in motion positive ripples. So there we have this balance. Again, David talked about expertise and emergence. We don't know where the ripples are going, but we do know if our language is good, our language is kind, it's much more likely to set in motion a good and kind ripple. And those ripples of confidence, energy, enthusiasm, and performance that make a positive difference in the world. So we put a big stake in the ground that appreciative leadership is about those capacities of people together to make a positive difference, to draw on our strengths, to work together and create those upward spirals. We've identified 5 strategies. Couldn't be appreciative leadership without inquiry, and it is front and center. And I just want to share with you a story. Wick and I, a month or so ago, were at the Organization Development World Summit in Budapest. Extraordinary gathering. And one of the things that the leaders of that gathering did was that they had people bring in real clients. And we got to work on client projects. So I thought, I'm going to go do it. I want to hear other people's approaches. I was there as an inspirational leader. I was really honored, but I wanted to be. And so I sat there at a group. We worked on our group. Our group got the most votes in our room, so we won. I voted for a different group because I want to tell you about that group. A group of people, we had about an hour and a half to come up with what we would recommend to this big client who came in. The group that I voted for, but it wasn't my group, said, we spent our time trying to figure out what question would guide us in giving the best response. So we had a bank, the executives weren't open to change management, and their question after an hour and a half was, what experience of change management can we offer the executive team so that they will realize that it is easy and they are capable? And their recommendation, their answer to that question, we want them to pick one of the towns where their bank exists, and we want them to go out and do a change management project to help the community. Brilliant. Brilliant question, brilliant strategy for executives to learn change management. The power of the question. We must always, always focus there. The second is illumination, the art of illumination. And that builds on everything that we're learning from positive psychology, from the strengths movement, positive organizational psychology. There is so much that we know now about how to, both with vocabularies and practices, really bring out the best of people. The third is inclusion. And inclusion for me is, yes, go back to cybernetic theory, and we know that variety leads to innovation, unquestionably. But Marge Schiller, I think, says it the best. Another one of our colleagues in AI, and she says, don't talk about me without me. For too long, we have had some of the people having conversations to try to create the realities for all of the people. And so for me, it's just simply time in which we, as Peter Block says, we become conveners, we can become facilitators, but we gather the people. Probably the story that has most touched me in the past couple of years was working with the Idaho Department of Education around services for students who are deaf and blind. They have a school. The subtext was, should we close the school? and we hosted an Appreciative Inquiry Summit. Imagine 250 people. Under the tables were guide dogs. At every table, there was a Braille recorder and 2 sign interpreters. I had to stand in a very small space because my microphone had to be the kind of microphone that could go out so people could hear. So talk about knowing what it is that your summit's about and being willing to really work with people so that you are doing what's appropriate to them. The end result was that 250 people, including people from the governor's office, the state legislator, the school, the teachers, the parents, people from other states who have the same kind of concerns, made a decision together to keep the school. They created a set of recommendations that went to the state legislature, that got voted upon and budgeted and funded. 250 people in the room made choices together. Our large group methodologies are extraordinary. Things can happen with them. And so inclusion is absolutely essential. Inspiration, and we build a lot off of all the work, again, in positive psychology, the work on hope, the capacity to believe in the best in the middle of the worst. Barbara Fredrickson's definition. And so there's a lot on hope theory that we draw into that, and then integrity. And I want to kind of end with this understanding of integrity, because it's an invitation to really think differently about integrity. Think about the word. Integrity, integral. Integral, whole. Whole, healthy. Whole, holy. Integrity means a lot more than just, let's be honest, folks. It means attending to the whole. It means attending to the health of the whole. It means attending to the holiness and the sacredness of the whole. And so I really thank you for this time. Thank you for our timekeeper. And I look forward to your thoughts and comments on the book.
All right.
I'm here for the day. Yes.
I just have a very funny comment that you'll appreciate. I work for